right, we're back at it today. So, I got the hood lined up in the last episode. Now I've got to position the front clip a little better on the chassis. Did a lot of research, pinged a lot of people, got some measurements from my buddy Louie over at First Generation Garage, and a bunch of very helpful people on the YouTube Firebird forums, not YouTube, Facebook Firebird forums. And yeah, I'm back about 1/4 of an inch, near as I can tell, which lines up with everything else I'm seeing. I mean, yeah, this is too tight here, obviously, but the door could be adjusted, who knows. I think this is too tight as well. So everything points to, and based on the measurements that I got from Louie and the kind people on the Firebird Facebook forums, says this thing, the whole clip, has got to slide ahead 1/4 of an inch, which will make everything else perfect. It could be a little wide in here, but I got to rework all those gaps anyway. So that's what I'm going to do. So to do that, I'm going to loosen up this bolt and the front bolt. I'm just going to loosen this one and loosen the inner bolt behind here. That'll maintain height and width by just loosening those. Then I'll pull this out 1/4 inch or so and come up with a method to pull this whole nose forward. I want to do something a little clever here because the nose is lined up pretty nicely. The hood is lined up pretty nicely. I probably have to do it again anyway. But if I just set something up, maybe I'll put the bumper horns on and use those to pull against or something like that. I don't know. But I'm going to try to do something like that versus pushing against the firewall. I just think it'll be cleaner and it'll just come out better. So that's where I'm headed with this. That's my next adventure. I've got to pull the bolts out of the core support, take the nuts off the bottom, make sure I got 1/4 inch to give. I believe I do. I think I'm pretty centered in those. And I'm also going to pull these bolts out initially, just to make sure I have 1/4 inch to go. But by judging by what I'm seeing here, I have 1/4 inch all day long. So that's where I'm going to get started today. Hopefully I can get this nose lined up. And then once I do, then I'll line up the bottoms, get those right with the rockers, and we'll go from there. Okay, I think this is going to work good. So what I did, I just put on the bumper brackets, bolted those to the frame. So, they're rugged. I had these brackets kicking around. This is off one of my frame jigs. So I just bolted this, got it up higher, attached the strap to the back of the hinge, which is, of course, solid mounted to everything. So did it on both sides. Should be able to get my tape measure in there, hopefully, and come up with a reference and just start pulling this forward and get it to where I need it to be. Now, one thing I did notice, the core support bolt down here was bottomed out in the frame hole. So I will have to recut those. That's not a big deal. I did notice on First Generation Garage channels the other day, on the stock frames, there's like 3 holes in there. And Louie was saying, you got to be in the front hole. This Heights chassis, I've only got 1 hole. So I'm thinking that might have been probably part of the reason why I was kind of held back a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to drag this forward, take my measurements, get it out to 50 3/8 is the magic number that everybody seems to have good fitment on. And if that's too much, I can always go back. It's easier to go back than it is to go forward. So I'm going to start there, work it out, which should be about 1/4 inch further forward on everything, which also should help with my cowl grill. So I'm pretty optimistic this is going to be where we need to be. So I'll start ratcheting this forward a little bit, carefully, a little at a time, see what I get. All right, that worked out great. I was able to pull that ahead a little bit. Everything lined up on the measurements that I got from those few sources that were remarkably similar. There was one outlier, but that was it. I got the perfect gap back through here now, where before that was super tight. Good right here now. You know, this is all workable from this point. This has got to be matched up, heights and everything else. So, and then like I said, I redid the hood, didn't drag you through that again. That's just painful. But I did find a very easy way to do it. If I took the cowl off, the cowl grill, left the hinges just a little bit loose, got it so that it was right width side to side in the back, then I could just snug up the hinges from the under where the cowl is now. Then come to the front and then just readjust the fenders to match, and you can see it's pretty spot on right now. I'm very happy with this. So got a little bit of profiling to do on it, just where the arch doesn't quite match towards the back, but boy, it's very close now. So that's good. Next step is I'm going to get the fenders pulled in on the bottom now. I'm pretty happy with the tops. And then I've got to match the door to that fender profile. So just going to keep adjusting on it. Like everybody says, it just takes a lot of time. The other thing I've got to do is I've got to pull this valance off and adjust this right here. This doesn't quite line up right. This is all hidden by the bumper. You'll never see it, but I'll know it's there. So, next step. I'm going to do the back of the fenders, get them lined up with the rockers properly, and then tighten that up, and probably tighten up all the internal inner fender well to outer fender and all the inner brackets, just to get it all summed up, and hopefully that doesn't drag anything out of alignment. So that's where I'm at now, and I'm going to hit the bottoms first just to get those right. I don't know, the bottom of this door is in quite a bit, fender's out quite a bit. I'm hoping I can make all that match. If not, I may have to split the fender on the back inside rib just to pull this profile a little flatter to match the door. But the door's got to come out at the top, it's got to come out at the bottom. So we'll see. Lots of adjusting. Okay, that about does it. This side, the bottom of the fender lined up beautifully. It's perfectly straight with the rocker. It's the right gap off the front of the rocker. My door gap's a little wide in the front, but I've tightened the back, so I've got to adjust the doors now. That's for sure. The other one gave me some trouble. Right in the back edge of the fender, down towards the bottom, there was about that much extra material in there that was keeping the fender from going in against the body. So I kind of had to pull that out gently, rip this off. But then once that was gone, this fender lined up beautifully too. I did not need to slit any of the inner fender wells to get the profile right. Everything seemed to come together nicely. Now, I will say I left the inner fender wells loose in every aspect until after I had all the front clip on there, and I just went around and tightened up all the inner fender well bolts. The only other thing I've thrown on here, just to, now that we've got it somewhat near right, I threw on these diagonal braces. That should keep it good, but I'm very happy with my gaps now. Very happy. It all looks good. I do got to mess with the front valance a little bit more. I've got to redo some of the holes down in that flange because every one of them was wrong, just not in the right place. So, gaps, check. Cowl, check. Front clip, pretty happy with where it sits right now. The next step is to start tweaking on the doors and just make sure that I don't have to, adjust the profile of the fender And sometimes I'm hearing you have to slit the brace behind here to get this to lay in a little flatter to match the door profile. And if that's what it takes, it's what it takes. But not there yet. My door needs some fair amount of adjustments, so on both of them. So that's what I'll probably tackle next, is dealing with those doors. But I think that's going to be about it for today. But I'm pretty happy with that. That came out really nice. Not upset. Anyway, I knew I didn't have those doors in the right vertical plane to begin with, so and I've got room to bring this door forward a little bit too, because my back seam is a little tight in places. So that will marry that up nicely. Yeah, I'm like almost 3/8 through here, so I got to get 3/16 out of it. Anyway, I'll probably get 1/8 out of that, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, that's about it for right now. My hood profile is pretty good. I've got the bumper's holding it up right here a little bit, but I've still got to make sure I don't need to do any tweaking on that. But we're pretty close. Pretty close. We're getting there. But yeah, happy with that so far. Once I, readjusted the nose, get everything squared up again, adjusted the core support left and right a little bit, and actually had to come forward in the hole a little. So recut the hole, and we're good to go. The hole between the core support and the frame is what I'm talking about there. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, looks like we're getting closer. And then get those doors adjusted. Then I'll move to the trunk deck and finish that. Well, I'll probably do the front valance first, then the doors, then the trunk deck. But it kind of feels like it's coming together pretty good. I have to say, I'm not disappointed with the fit of these aftermarket parts at all. These are all OER. Actually, the doors are from Jegs, believe it or not. There was a really good price on those, and they fit great. Good quality product. It doesn't seem thin. I checked the gauge. Everything's the same. This edge is going to get reworked. It always does. You have to do that to get your good gaps. But at the end of the day, not bad. Not bad at all. Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. I will come back, probably do a separate video on the front valance and the doors. But for now, that front clip, I'm pretty happy with its location and alignment. I can't complain at all. There's nothing in there right now I want to change. So that says something.